but I'm not going to change my personality. Ain't nobody, they can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired. So they can't fire me.
I can tell you, I also spoke to co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear we are taking this matter very seriously.
Charles Barkley is shaking ESPN to its core, and Shannon Sharpe, he's heated like boiling. Barkley just bagged a jaw-dropping $210 million deal, and now he's strutting through the building like he owns every square inch. Skipping meetings? Check. Dodging extra appearances? Check. Rolling his eyes at corporate demands like, fire me if you're bold enough. Meanwhile, Shannon's stuck on the sidelines, watching the chaos unfold after being unceremoniously booted from the network. And let's be real, he's not exactly keeping it classy. Shannon's been tossing subtle shots at ESPN, questioning why Chuck gets to run wild and stay filthy rich while he got shown the exit over a scandal that exploded overnight. But this ain't just some mild workplace tension. Nah, this is full on. Pressure cooker mode. Shannon's tangled in legal mess, treading lightly around morality clauses to keep his reputation intact, while execs circle like sharks. Chuck, on the other hand, completely unbothered. He's out here cashing monster checks, living loud, and dropping gems with zero filter. Word on the street, he rolled up on Outkicks Don't At Me with Dan Dakich and let ESPN have it raw. No sugarcoating, no corporate script. I'm not talking about the Lakers, period. Don't like it? Too bad. Barkley made it crystal clear he's not about to bite his tongue for anyone, no matter how big the logo on the mic.
Two different radio national shows, and I said, I don't want to talk about LeBron James every freaking day, or Brett Favre, or Aaron Rodgers, or all the bullshit you got to talk about. I don't want to do that every day. Now you're going to ESPN, and you've been critical of ESPN, particularly their coverage of the Lakers. What are your thoughts as this is your last season heading over?
Yeah, Dan, I'm not going to change. I'm going to do what I want to do. Nobody's going to tell me what to say or what to do. I thought I get upset. They're like the Lakers are contenders. I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not contenders. You know, Kendrick Perkins, who don't know his ass from a hole in the wall. He's like, the Lakers are contenders. Lakers are contenders, and I said, they're not contenders.
ESPN can either swallow their pride and deal with it, or watch Barkley stroll out the door without even looking back. And here's where it gets juicy. Why is Chuck untouchable while Shannon got tossed like yesterday's news? Something's not adding up behind those ESPN boardroom doors. The vibes, real shady. Normally, a guy in Barkley's shoes would be playing it safe, grinning for the cameras, towing the corporate line, anything to keep that cushy gig intact. But Chuck, he's built different. He knows his worth, and he knows ESPN can't risk losing the ratings magnet that he is. Now he's running the show on his own terms, loud, unapologetic, and daring anyone to check him. They can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired, Barkley said, not with a whisper, but with a chest full of confidence. And just when you thought he couldn't go harder, he flexed even more. If they do fire me, they still gotta cut me a check for 7 years. And honestly, I'll probably quit before then anyway. This isn't just power, it's a full-blown chokehold on the network, and Barkley's loving every second of IT.
Barkley has reportedly agreed to a 10-year deal with TNT that's estimated to be worth over $100 million. Let's be honest, Barkley is arguably one of the most popular sports studio analysts out there, and he's in a landscape where salaries for sportscasters have just changed dramatically over the years. And if TNT were to let him go, it'd just be terrible.
But let's be real, if ESPN feels froggy, Barkley's practically daring them to leap. This isn't just confidence. This is big boss energy on full display. Barkley made it loud and clear. The only person calling shots about his future is him, period. ESPN, they're not even players in this game anymore. They're just spectators watching from the sidelines. And here's the kicker. Chuck isn't bluffing. He's got ironclad receipts to back every word. Back in 2022, he locked in a monstrous 10-year, $210 million deal just for showing up, clowning around, and keeping it real on the biggest basketball pregame and postgame shows in history. That's not some basic network contract, that's generational wealth locked and loaded. Now here's where it gets straight up savage. If Chuck decides to go rogue, ignore corporate scripts, or even drop a few unfiltered hot takes, ESPN's Hands are tied. They can't touch him without coughing up every last dollar of that $210 million. That's not leverage, that's checkmate. And Barkley knows it. He's chilling in his seat like, go ahead, make your move. I dare you. To make it even messier, Barkley's already made it clear he's not about to grind himself into retirement like so many others clinging to TV fame. When he's done, he's done. No dramatic exits, no teary goodbyes. He'll clock out on his own terms with a fat bank account and zero regret.
The only decision we've been making is how long I'm on work. And I've been going back and forth with TNT for the last 2 months, whether I'm gonna work 2 years or 3 years. But if I really wanted to, I could stay for 7 years, which there's no chance of that happening. Zero.
Earlier this year, Barkley sent shockwaves through NBA TV when he casually dropped a bombshell that froze the entire room. No jokes, no filters, just straight up real talk. I ain't going nowhere other than TNT, he said with that signature. Barkley swagger, but then he hit them with the gut punch. I've already decided. No matter what happens, next year is my last year on television. The silence that followed, deafening. You could almost feel the weight of his words hanging in the air. This wasn't some empty threat or PR stunt. This was Chuck laying down his final play, reminding everyone that he's the one holding all the cards.
But for me personally, I wanted you guys to hear from me because I'm not doing any more interviews. Don't y'all be calling me. Nobody calling me. I'm not talking about this again, but I want to tell my NBA and NBA TV and TNT family that I'm not going to another network, but I'm going to pass the baton to either Jamal Crawford or Vince Carter or you, Steve. But next year, I'm going to just retire after 25 years, and I just want to say thank you.
And now, don't get it twisted, this wasn't some slick negotiation tactic or a calculated bluff to squeeze out another bag. Charles Barkley meant every single word. He's not out here chasing one last flashy offer or entertaining calls from hungry execs. He's done with all that noise. No meetings, no closed-door deals, no chasing checks like he's pressed for another payday. Networks have been blowing up his phone, throwing ridiculous numbers at him to jump shit. But Chuck, he's not even picking up. He's moving different, now unbothered, untouchable, and fully in control of his exit plan.
You know, there's been a lot of noise around our network the last few months. And I just want to say, I've talked to all the other networks, but I ain't going nowhere.
And when Barkley sat down with Outkick not long ago, his energy was still the same, calm, unbothered, completely locked in. This isn't a man being dragged around by contracts or caving to exec pressure. Even with 7 years left on that insane $210 million deal, Charles made it clear he's not riding it out. He and TNT are already hashing out exit plans, and best believe it's Chuck calling the shots, not some boardroom full of suits. And let's get one thing straight, ESPN better not even think about firing him mid-contract. If they do, that's a brutal $210 million L they'll have to swallow just to get rid of a guy who refuses to play by their corporate playbook. Barkley's moving like a man with ultimate freedom, no leash, no filter, no fear. But here's where the drama thickens. Barkley's already drawn his line in the sand, telling folks he's not about to pop up on shows like Get Up, First Take, or SportsCenter once ESPN takes over. That's not his vibe, not his vision. And honestly, it could have been the perfect setup. With TNT losing the NBA rights and ESPN swooping in to claim the crown, Chuck stepping into their territory should have been a dream come true for the network. But knowing ESPN's hustle, you just know they're plotting to milk every dime of that deal, squeezing him into every segment from sunrise debates to late night panels. But Chuck's not here for it. He's already putting down hard boundaries. No running from set to set. No burning himself out to make the suits feel like they got their money's worth. And the real tea? Barkley isn't even cool with sharing the screen with certain ESPN heavyweights. The tension is thick. Word is, he's not vibing with Stephen A. Smith, and his disdain for Kendrick Perkins, legendary. Chuck once fired a savage shot at Perk, saying he couldn't tell the difference between a hole in the wall and his own face. Cold. So if you were hoping for friendly banter between those two, don't hold your breath. That relationship's icier than an NBA bench in overtime. Here's the bottom line. Charles Barkley is ESPN's biggest headache and their biggest asset. They hate how unfiltered and bold he is, but losing him, that's a nightmare they can't afford. And watching all this chaos unfold, Shannon Sharpe, still tight about how it all went down. Think about it, this is the same network that dropped Shannon like a bad habit the moment his name got tangled in a lawsuit. No hesitation, no second chances. Meanwhile, they're out here, rolling out the red carpet for Barkley. You know Shannon's looking at all this like, oh, so we're just picking favorites now? But hold up, it gets even juicier. Word on the street is Shannon had some spicy words for Barkley behind closed doors. But before he pops off too hard, Shannon might need to take a step back and face a tough truth. He and Chuck, they're playing two completely different games. Let's break it down. Barkley isn't just a basketball legend, he's a media giant with a personality so big it crashes headlines every time he opens his mouth. He moves numbers. He is the show. Shannon, on the other hand, is holding his own, no doubt, but the lane he's in is way tighter. According to the New York Times, ESPN's cutting Shannon a sweet $6.5 million yearly check just to spar with Stephen A. twice a week on First Take. Sounds cushy, right? But here's the catch, money like that doesn't come with immunity. So, the second Shannon's name got tied to that civil lawsuit, ESPN didn't flinch. No meeting, no warning, just goodbye.
This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do.
That's the cold, hard truth. ESPN didn't shield Shannon. They didn't go to bat for him. Why? Because he doesn't carry that untouchable aura like Charles Barkley. Chuck can stir the pot, drag folks through the mud, flip the script completely, and somehow still walk away with his bag untouched. ESPN isn't pushing back because the power dynamic is flipped. They need Chuck way more than Chuck needs them. But this isn't just about fame or TV ratings. It's way deeper. Let's not forget ESPN sits right under the Disney umbrella. And Disney? They're obsessed with image control. Every single deal they hand out comes wrapped in a slick, airtight morality clause. Translation? Embarrass the brand even accidentally, and they can kick you to the curb without blinking. These contracts aren't written for fairness. They're loaded with vague language like public disrepute, humiliation, or anything that might harm the Disney brand. It gives execs total freedom to cut TIs the second they feel you're more trouble than you're worth. And once they slap that liability label on you, it's game over. No calls, no meetings, no second chances. That's the reality Shannon Sharpe is living right now. His scandal didn't just open the door for ESPN to fire him, it gave them the perfect excuse to do it clean and fast. And let's keep it real, this wasn't some random move. Shannon's situation had folks uncomfortable no matter how you try to spin it. He's 56. When the streets started buzzing about his alleged connection with a 19-year-old, the backlash was instant. Social media dragged him for days. Whether legal or not, the optics? Ugly. Especially when your employer's parent company is Disney, the house of Mickey Mouse and squeaky clean branding. And it's not like Shannon hasn't been warned by life's lessons before. Remember last year's Instagram mess? Fans got a little too much of his private life, and his bedroom drama trended for all the wrong reasons. You'd think someone in his circle would have told him to lock it down, keep it clean, or at least protect himself legally before it blew up again. But nope, the mess kept following him, and Disney doesn't play cleanup for anyone. When they decide to clean house, they move fast and leave no crumbs. Word behind the scenes? Shannon might already be unofficially blacklisted at ESPN. And if that wasn't enough to turn up the heat, here's the kicker. Stephen A. Smith reportedly had a direct sit-down with Disney's CEO about Shannon's situation. That's not casual. That's serious. That's corporate-level damage control at its highest level.
I can tell you, I also spoke to co-chairman of Disney, the boss, Jimmy Pitaro, who made it very, very clear We are taking this matter very seriously. And we are looking into this very, very closely.
When the CEO of Disney himself steps into the conversation, you already know this isn't just smoke, it's a full-on corporate fire alarm. That's not rumor control, that's high-level damage control. And for Shannon Sharpe, this might be the moment where there's no lifeline left to pull him back to shore. Sure, on the surface, it's easy to sympathize with Shannon, to see why he's bitter watching Charles Barkley get superstar treatment while he's left out in the cold. But let's not pretend everything was squeaky clean behind the scenes. Truth is, Shannon's track record has had whispers trailing it for years, long before this current $50 million legal mess. Insiders from his Fox Sports days claim the tension's been simmering for a while. One particularly explosive allegation: that Shannon allegedly put hands on a female production assistant while co-hosting Undisputed between 2016 and 2023. The details were murky, but the accusation itself left a stain that didn't just fade into the background. What really set off alarm bells is how Fox handled it. Instead of a public fallout or a corporate investigation, the network reportedly settled the matter quietly. Sources say the payout reached several $100,000, no court battles, no headlines, just a silent check and business as usual. Shannon's reps didn't waste time trying to shut it all down. They painted the incident as nothing more than light physical interaction in a playful context, insisting there was no choking, no aggression, no story. Their message? If you want more dirt, ask Fox. But let's be real, the public wasn't buying that polished PR spin. The real shock came from the fact that Fox didn't immediately show Shannon the door. For anyone else in the industry, allegations like that would have meant instant termination. But this is Hollywood media, a world where rules bend and break. For the right ratings, fast forward to Disney and ESPN, and the game changes completely. When Shannon's newest legal scandal erupted, the network had a choice: stand by him or cut ties. They chose the clean break, and here's why: backlash. Nuclear backlash. In today's climate, social media would have gone scorched earth. Sponsors would have pulled out. ESPN's image, carefully crafted under the Disney brand, would have taken a devastating hit, and not everyone stayed silent about it. Sage Steele, a former SportsCenter anchor, lit up Twitter with her own shot at ESPN's hypocrisy. She reposted a viral comment about ESPN pushing out women with conservative views and dropped her own bombshell. There's a long list of examples where ESPN or Disney considers having conservative viewpoints a much greater offense than questionable character. That one post had timelines spinning because she said what a lot of people have been whispering in industry circles for years. For some, a tweet can cost them their career. For others, even a messy past gets swept under the rug as long as the ratings keep coming. Then Ashley Brewer-Kaminsky, another former ESPN personality, jumped into the fray. She backed Sage up and added even more heat to an already blazing firestorm. This wasn't just about Shannon anymore, this was about ESPN's entire playbook. With former insiders coming forward, the narrative shifted from one-man scandal to a full-blown indictment of the network's culture. They were being accused of playing favorites, burying red flags, and treating employees like chess pieces, sacrificing pawns while protecting their kings. And through all of this, Shannon's name keeps resurfacing in all the wrong conversations. In an industry where image isn't just important, it's everything that's a death sentence for your career. Ashley Brewer-Kaminsky didn't hold back either. She went public with her own experience, exposing even more cracks in the ESPN armor. It's no longer just whispers in hallways. The floodgates are open. The question now isn't if Shannon can bounce back, it's whether the industry will ever let him. Never forget when I got chewed out by my boss for posting a pic of a Republican, congressman, and a UFC fighter on my Instagram story at the McGregor fight. Lol. That post didn't just land, it cracked the whole conversation wide open. Why? Because it pulled back the curtain on just how ironclad ESPN's grip really is, especially when politics creep into the picture. The unspoken rule at the network? Stay neutral, stay silent, period. And Sage Steele? She's the perfect example of what happens when you don't. Remember, she wasn't suspended for any wild scandal or explosive lawsuit. Nope, all it took was her voicing a personal opinion against ESPN's COVID vaccine policy. One comment, one opinion, and boom, they benched her without a second thought. Now stack that up against Shannon's situation. Sage got sidelined for words. Shannon got wrapped up in a legal firestorm involving a 19-year-old, and there were people out here thinking he was untouchable. Please, If Disney had dared to protect him, the backlash would have been nuclear. Sage and Ashley were already firing shots from the sidelines. Had ESPN shielded Shannon, they would have triggered a wave of lawsuits, public outrage, and sponsors pulling the plug. That's not heat Disney or their squeaky clean brand was willing to absorb. From a business standpoint, cutting Shannon loose wasn't personal. It was survival. Meanwhile, Charles Barkley is playing an entirely different game. Sure, he's chaotic. He pushes buttons. He teases early retirement and refuses to play the network's puppet. But here's the difference: Chuck stays out of legal mess and PR scandals. He's unpredictable, but not toxic. Shannon, on the other hand, became a high-risk asset ESPN couldn't afford to defend. That's the dividing line. Even Stephen A. Smith, Shannon's day one supporter, had to keep it real. He called Shannon's exit a blow to the show and to him personally. But his follow-up said it all. It was not a surprise. Stephen A.'s been in the ESPN system since 2003. He knows the rules. Stay clean, move smart, watch every step. If you slip, you're out. No exceptions. And yet here's Barkley breaking every corporate rule in sight, clowning whoever he pleases, skipping appearances, and still being treated like ESPN royalty. Why? Because Chuck equals ratings, and ratings equal millions. Losing him isn't an option for ESPN, so they let him run wild. No leash, no filter, no fear. That's the brutal reality. Shannon didn't get played by the system, he played himself. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Does Shannon have a right to feel salty? Should his smoke be aimed at ESPN? Or is this just the price of fame when you forget the rules of the game? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We're reading every single one. And if you're loving this level of tea, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more deep dives into the messiest celeb drama, and smash that notification bell so you never miss a drop. See y'all in the next one.